Greetings everyone, welcome to Arth IAS. I am Amit Kumar. Dear students, today's topic may surprise you. Why? Because the Prime Minister of UK, Andy Burnham, has announced that UK is soon going to have a written constitution. Yes, you have heard right. Up till now, UK does not have any written constitution, but soon it is going to have a written constitution. Right? The move has been already taken. Right? So, what is the topic? So, this topic means today's topic is related to GS paper 2 and topic is comparison of the Indian constitutional scheme with that of other countries. Right? Now, let's see what is the issue. So, the issue is the Prime Minister Andy Burnham has argued that Britain now needs a clear written constitution. Right? Up till now, it does not have any written constitution, unlike India or USA. Britain does not have any written constitution. No single document that can be considered as a constitution, right? That defines how the country should be governed and supports greater devolution of powers, right? So simply devolution of power we will see later, right, to regional authorities. Okay, now, so the question arises, does the UK have a written constitution? As I said, that unlike India, USA, France, Japan, right, UK does not have any written constitution. Means there is no single constitutional document, right? No single written constitutional document that can be considered as constitution. For example, in India, we have a single written constitution, right? So instead, means in UK, acts of parliament known as statute, right? Common laws like judicial decisions, case laws, right? Constitutional convention. Constitutional convention means unwritten laws which are practiced over the period of means since long time, right? Historical documents like Magna Carta, Liberty of Subject Act, Bill of Rights, all these are considered as historical document, and the list is quite longer. So combinedly, these documents are known as constitution. But again, I am repeating, unlike India, UK does not have any single constitutional document, and that's why the move has been taken, right? That UK is going to have a written constitution. Now, so what is the reason why there is a move to have a written constitution? Why UK is considering a written constitution? Several reasons, and one of the first important reason is that a written constitution would provide clarity and certainty. Clarity and certainty means, right, if any country, right, any state has a written constitution, obviously first it separates the power, right, among the three organs of a state: legislature, executive, judiciary. So separation of power, right, among legislature, executive and judiciary, right? Also it divides the power, right, division of power between the central government and regional governments. So also division of powers among the central or union, whatever you can say, right, as well as the regional governments. So it clearly divides the power, means gives clarity and certainty. For example, in India, we have separation of power, also division of power, and division of power, best example you can see 7th schedule, right, free list, union list, state list, conference list. So no government can override each other's power, and if it happens, there is judiciary to check their power, right? And where there is separation of power, obviously there is checks and balance. Clear? Second, it would strengthen accountability, right, by clearly defining the limits of governmental authority. Obviously, when there is the clarity, right, so obviously it will define the accountability of governmental authorities. Next, it supports devolution. See, what is the meaning of devolution, right? when we talk about division of power, clear? So division of power means what? Division of power between the central or union government and regional governments, and as in the case of India, local governments also. So division of power takes place in three forms, right? First is called decentralization, right? Second is called devolution, and third, it is called delegation, right? All these three, decentralization, devolution, delegation, represents same division of power among central government and regional governments or state governments, right? But what is the meaning of decentralization? Decentralization means when both governments, union and regional governments, derive their power from the constitution, right? Then it is called decentralization of power. Clear? Means when central government as well as regional governments derives their power from the constitution, as in the case of India. So it is known as decentralization. Second is called devolution. So when the legislature, right, legislatures gives power to the regional governments. Legislature means union legislature, as in the case of Britain, right? So the Union Parliament of Britain, right, devolves the power to the regional governments, and it is called devolution of powers. Delegation, when the executive, union executive, right, union executive gives power to the regional governments, then it is called delegation, delegation of powers. So all these three, decentralization, devolution, delegation, right, are nothing but division of power. But the differences I have to explain, right? So as the Britain is a unitary, or it has unitary form of government, that's why the Union Parliament, right, the Parliament of Britain, it devolves power to the regions, means regional governments like Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, local authorities in England. Clear? Last important point, written constitution would better protect the citizens' rights and reduce constitutional uncertainty during political crisis. So obviously, we have seen there is no written constitution in Britain. There is Bill of Rights, but these are the fundamental rights of citizens are not guaranteed by the constitution, but guaranteed by a statute, right? But in India, we have written constitution, and fundamental rights of citizens are guaranteed by the constitution itself. So we can say that in India, the fundamental rights are more secure than fundamental rights in UK. The reason is written constitution. In India, we have written constitution. In UK, there is absence of written constitution. There is unwritten constitution. Right? Next, just have a quick comparison between Indian and British constitution. So, first is nature of constitution. Obviously, in India, we have a written constitution. In UK, we all know it is unwritten constitution, uncodified constitution. Next, form of constitution. Indian constitution is the lengthiest written constitution in the world, whereas in UK we have seen there is no single constitutional document, right? Next, supremacy. So in India, remember, if any country has written constitution, right, then there is constitutional supremacy, means the constitution is supreme. In India, the constitution is supreme because we have a written constitution. It codifies the powers of each organ of state, right? It limits the power of organs of state, whether it is legislature, executive, or judiciary, right? Also, there is division of power, limits the power of central government as well as state governments, right? But in UK, there is no written constitution, and as there is absence of written constitution, so Parliament is traditionally considered sovereign. Parliament is sovereign. It means Parliament has unlimited, unrestricted, unfettered powers. It can do anything. It can pass any law, right? Next, judicial review. So, as if any country, remember, if any country has a written constitution, obviously it establishes judicial supremacy. Judicial supremacy means judiciary, right, can review the acts of parliament or the decisions or acts of executive, right? But in Britain, there is parliamentary sovereignty, and judiciary is weaker as comparison to parliament. So, if we compare the judiciary means the Supreme Court of India and Supreme Court of Britain, then we will find that the Supreme Court of India is one of the strongest Supreme Court in the world, whereas the Supreme Court of Britain is one of the weakest Supreme Court in the world. Reason: unwritten constitution and parliamentary sovereignty. Last important point: fundamental rights. As I have told you that the fundamental rights in India are guaranteed by the constitution, right? Part 3, article, right? Next, in UK, right, there is no written constitution, and fundamental rights are guaranteed by Bill of Rights. That is a statute passed by the Parliament. Clear? So these are the common differences between Indian Constitution and British Constitution. Now let's conclude. So finally, what is the conclusion? See, always remember that whether a country has written or unwritten constitution, it must ensure certain things. Certain things like it must establish rule of law, democracy, separation of power, division of power, protection of rights of individuals, right? There should be method of checks and balance. So all this should be established, right? So while India and UK have chosen different constitutional paths, both aim to uphold democratic values through their respective systems, right? So that's all for now. We will meet in another important lecture. Thank you.